A Mochi moment from Sadie, who writes, I'm not crying, you're crying. This is what I said during my first appointment with my physician at Mochi, because I didn't have to convince him I needed a GLP-1. He understood, and I felt supported, not judged. I came for the weight loss and stayed for the empathy. Thanks, Sadie. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Sadie is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
At the Air Force Base, they were in tears. And I was like, wow, like I didn't expect that. And they're like, man, your speech just, and it was a leadership speech. It wasn't like a personal story. It was just leadership and team building. But God moved in such a way that men and women were just crying because they didn't realize, right? Am I leading myself the right way? And that's the bad thing about just men in general and women in general. When you're in the military or when you serve your country or when you serve your city, you're not allowed to show any sign of weakness. And
Sit back and relax and get ready for another exclusive episode of the Online Marketing Secrets Podcast with Lopez.
This episode is brought to you by ERC. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a business? If you have a business, you need money. So, did you have a business during the pandemic with 5 or more employees? If so, you might be leaving money on the table. All you gotta do is go to my website at lopezlasane.com. And at the top of the website, click the tab that says Get Money Back. And the best part about this, it only takes 10 minutes for you to see if you're qualified for this money. So don't wait. Go to my website, lopezlasane.com, and click on the tab that says Get Money Back. And you're going to get this money for your business, and you can thank me later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Online Marketing Secrets Podcast. I'm your host, Lopez, so like and share this episode. Yes. So today, I have another special guest. However, before I get into that, before I talk to this great guest that I have coming through, I would appreciate it if you left me a 5-star review in iTunes. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what you think about the episode so far. So leave me a 5-star review. I appreciate that. And any questions that you may have, you can send your questions to support@kingofcashflowwebsites.com or just click the link below in this episode. So with that being said, today I have a special guest. He's an award-winning speaker, business coach, executive coach, corporate trainer, podcast of the year. He speaks and coaches at events all over the world. He's passionate. His passion is to elevate businesses and entrepreneurs to achieve their true potential through training and coaching programs. He's empowered his clients to achieve epic success in their personal and professional lives. He's an international best-selling author of a book called Makings of a Millionaire Mind. My special guest today is Daniel Gomez. Welcome to the show.
San Antonio, Texas, Lopez. San Antonio, Texas, the big city of San Antonio.
Born and raised. I see that, man. So how'd you get started speaking, becoming a business coach? Because, you know, we don't go to school for this. This is not one of those careers or professions where you tell your parents, hey, you know, when I grow up, I want to be a speaker and I want to help millions of people. so how'd you get started?
I'll tell you what, I started in the automotive industry back in 2001, right after 9/11. Actually, when 9/11 happened, I was in the automotive industry and I learned so much about business there. And as I grew up in the automotive world, I went from sales to new car director, general sales manager, running the dealership. I had 100 employees under me, and it was amazing. Then all of a sudden in 2017, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to hire somebody to take care of her, or was I going to man up and take care of her myself? And I made a decision to resign because people don't understand, right? In life, we can have a major surgery, and it's not the physical ailment that keeps you down. It's the mental one, right? The emotional. She had a double mastectomy and she got depressed on me. And I really had to go in there and just be that emotional support for her. In that moment, Lopez, it's like, I didn't realize how much work I needed. Right? Because if you think about it, the busyness of life was gone, the busyness of friends. We weren't going out anywhere. We were just homebodies. And then all this emotion starts coming up. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Right? And all these emotions were just surfacing, and started reading. I read a book for the first time in a very long time as an adult. And then as I was getting ready to go back to, my wife was stable, as I was getting ready to go back into the workforce, I just heard the Holy Spirit and God say, I want you to become a motivational speaker. People laughed at me. People were like, you're crazy. What do you know? Like, you've been in the automotive industry for 20 years almost. But the thing is, this is the part that most people miss, and I want your audience to catch this. We don't really pay attention in depth of where we're at in that season of our lives. 5 years prior, 10 years prior. For me, it was 20 years prior. For 20 years, I was being prepared to become the gentleman that I am today. I understood business. I would do the sales trainings because, not that I was an insecure leader, but I just loved to pour into our team. So every Monday I would train. For almost 10 years I did that. And then when Chevrolet would go out there, because I would run a Chevrolet store, I still have my Chevrolet ring. We'd go out there and give out these awards, Lopez. And one time the principal said, you want to say something, Daniel? And I was like, no, I just came to take pictures and it looked pretty, right? Just to kind of promote the brand. And next thing you know, I felt like God just said, man, you just talked about attitude. Talk about attitude. And then next thing you know, it was over, man. It just, I had 300 kids yelling and screaming, I'm a winner, I'm a champion. And all these things were preparation to where I'm at now. So when the moment came and that idea dropped in my spirit, I said, well, maybe I can do this. And of course, right, I wish it was a smooth sailing from there, but definitely there was some doubt. Am I on the right path? I thought about, I'm just going to go back to the automotive dealership after my wife was stable. And no, I ended up going to John Maxwell, got John Maxwell certified because they had a speaking lane at the time, and just to kind of learn in it, but it didn't really teach me what I needed to know. And I just, all the things that we have inside our subconscious mind pop up in these moments of growth and as you're going into new territory. And we just excelled. I just became one of the top speakers at a very, very young turnaround, I guess is the way to say it, right? I mean, what I mean by that is, right, within a year, I was making $100,000 a year just speaking. And I thought everybody was doing it, right? I thought all the speakers were earning this money. No. They weren't. They were struggling. And somehow Daniel Gomez made it to the top his first year. And by no means had I arrived, but my huge break came because I trained the United States Air Force. And that was my big break. I still use that same video, Lopez, on my website because it's not I don't care who you are. Not too many motivational speakers can say I've trained the United States Air Force, or keynote speakers for that. And the fact that I can say that was where it all, that was the foundation for where we are now. And I just never looked back.
So that was the difference maker. You being associated with the Air Force and everything. You know,
That was my first big break. That was my first big break. My second big break came when I did an event in Chicago with Les Brown was there, and Les Brown, we just he did a video testimonial for me. I put that on my LinkedIn profile, and it just one door opened another door, and now I've been in business over 5 years now, and I just never look back. And there's just people. I think sometimes people just try to rush everything, and I was guilty of that. Right, I wanted to be where I'm at right now. 5 years ago, man, I would have crushed under pressure because you don't know what you don't know.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, speaking about Les Brown, I met him in LA as I was walking out of the Hyatt Hotel by the airport in LA, and I was actually walking behind him, and then one of my buddies at the time, he was on the other side of me, and he looked over and said, "Hey, that's Les Brown." I'm like, oh. I looked over. I said, "Oh, it is." So he's a great dude, man. He said, "Hey, man, let's take this picture together." And I'm not usually I kind of shy away from pictures because they get asked all the time for pictures. Oh, he's like, "Come on, man, hey, you good looking or what?" So yeah, so he's a good dude, man. Yeah. So where does that confidence come from? That, hey, I can do this. I can speak in front of people. Where does that come from? Because everyone has, like you said, everyone has doubts. We go through our moments where, we feel like, is this going to work? Am I on the right path? What kept you pushing through that? What kept you going?
Honestly, it was my faith in God. I think just the fact that he's the one that gave me that idea, because believe me, it goes deep within a person to where either they sabotage themselves or they're going to push through the next level of success, the next barrier that's before them, right? There's a series of barriers that are before us, and many people, they want to break through all the barriers at one time. It doesn't work that way. You got to earn your way through the barriers. You gotta prove yourself that you're worthy of going through that first barrier, going through that second barrier. And I think for me, I was just showing up every day, not really understanding exactly what I was doing, but I was just showing up and doing it. And God honored me. And there was times that I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't cry. I'll never forget this. I created a quote back in the day when I was doing my own Canva host and everything. Okay. I said, "You're not a real entrepreneur, Lopez, until you're 99.9% sure that you're going to give up, but you don't.
Yeah.
You're not a real entrepreneur until you're 99.9% sure, confident you're going to give up, but you don't." And I was that close one time. I was crying in the bathroom, just said, why the hell am I struggling here? I could go back to the automotive industry, easily make anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 a year. And because I've done it before, but I was going to be trusting in Daniel, and it really, in that season, God was just showing me how to trust in Him. And man, it honestly, it sucked, man, because it just, you're in a situation in life where you've never been before, and you're totally dependent on God, and He showed Himself faithful. And next thing you know, more speaking opportunities came in. Then first it was the Air Force, and it was with Les Brown. Then it was going to California, and then this other speaking engagement, and it just opened up. And then when COVID happened, COVID was the best thing that happened to Daniel Gomez Enterprises, because you see, I had been practicing in the back, podcasting, right? Because podcasting has been around for a while, and even though you practice, you doubt yourself. And when COVID happened, I lost like over $40,000 in paid speaking engagements, and I didn't really freak out or nothing. I said, you know what? He has me. He got this. Well, then in prayer, I heard a whisper, not even about a month or so after COVID kicked in, start the Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. So we launched our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. But like I said earlier, I thought everybody was getting paid to speak. And God goes, you don't get it. Not everybody's getting paid to speak. You need to show them how to do it. So so the Sticker Shock Speaking Academy was born. I actually called my old publisher. I said, "Hey, Mike, I got this idea. I was really good. I thought he was gonna hang up the phone on me, to be honest with you. I said, "Hey, I got this idea. What do you think?" He goes, "What is it?" He goes, "God put it in my heart to start a speaking academy. You want to hear the name?" He's like, "What's the name?" I said, "Sticker Shock." He goes, "I love it, man. Let's do it." And I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't expect him to get excited about it, because at that point, you got to remember, COVID started in March. By April 15th, everybody was already wanting to go back to work, right? They were tired of being at home with their kids, their wife. We weren't used to it. And we all know that it lasted for many more years. Well, then when I called him, it was March, April, it was like May. It was like April, the end of April. He goes, "Let's do it." Next thing you know, in July, during COVID, because San Antonio was open, Texas was open, we had over 20 people live at a high-ticket event that came to learn how to speak when the world was closed down. And if that's not God, man, I just never looked back after that.
That's what I like to hear, man. So, how was the experience being with the Air Force? Because I'm a veteran too, but I'm not Air Force, but I'm Navy. But how was that experience, and how did that come about?
Well, it really showed me that speaking does make a difference in people's lives. You can either help a person one-to-one, but what I love about speaking, being a professional speaker, is I get to impact hundreds of lives, thousands of lives at an event. And this is why, because I'll never forget, right? And you understand this because you're prior military. Whether you're military, armed forces, or a police officer, really what they teach a lot of these human beings, including yourself, is you're emotionless. You're not allowed to have emotions.
Oh yeah.
Right? You got to be a police officer. You got to defend, and you can't show weakness. In a soldier, right? You can't be a Green Beret and be a pushover, right? You're like, no, like you're just stone cold.
Yep. And
after I spoke for that hour, to see, and I'm not talking about airmen. I'm talking about NCO Academy officers. These are officers that we spoke to at the Air Force Base. They were in tears. I was like, wow, like I didn't expect that. And they're like, man, your speech and it was a leadership speech. It wasn't like a personal story. It was just leadership and team building. But God moved in such a way that men and women were just crying because they didn't realize, right? Am I leading myself the right way? And that's the bad thing about just men in general and women in general. When you're in the military, or when you serve your country, or when you serve your city, you're not allowed to show any sign of weakness, and you suppress those emotions. And that stuff ain't healthy, man.
No.
So it was just powerful to see how God used me at that moment. And this was in 2018. And I was grateful for that opportunity. And I just never looked back, and I just said, wow, like, if these people that are trained to be hard or show no emotion can feel what I'm speaking about, then maybe I can impact even more. And I just kept going, man. But it's beautiful when you see someone touched by your story or by your speech that you give, and that it really impacts them. It's just, I love it. I get a high off of that because I love pouring into people. You know why? Over 90% of people, Lopez, undervalue themselves. I've spoken in Hawaii, I've spoken in England, I've spoken in Asia, all over the world. And I come to find, and I realize that over 90% of people undervalue themselves instead of truly valuing themselves and seeing themselves for who they really are.
Yeah, man, it's I think it takes a lot of confidence to speak on any really platform. It doesn't really matter if you're on stage or you're online or you're doing what we're doing. And I think I also believe that it has to be something else that you believe in so strongly that's going to keep you pushing forward, because there's always going to be obstacles. Things are going to happen. Kids get sick. Your wife don't feel good, or your parents call you. Life is going to keep going. Things are always going to happen. But what's going to keep you pushing forward? I think you have to have a very strong belief. Otherwise, most people will find a way to quit. you know.
Well, you know what I didn't realize? How selfish I was.
Yeah.
Because when you're selfish, you just think about yourself. And
Yeah.
then I never saw myself as selfish, to be honest with you. But then the further along I went on my journey, year 2, year 3, I became selfless. I thought less about Daniel and really about the people I'm serving. And now when I get up, it's like my purpose. My purpose now is I'm declaring it to the world, right? My goal is to be the number one motivational speaker in the world. I'm gonna be the number one speaker. I have the ability. I have God's grace. I have God's strength. And the thing is, when the Holy Spirit moves through me and I speak on stage, I truly believe there is no one better than me like this, because I've seen the impact of people crying and Daniel, wow. And then I've seen a line where we sell, and you're talking about it. I mean, there's not thousands of people. This one event, me and my wife, she went and helped me out. We sold over 100 books just because people were just so moved. Like, well, I want your book. And even women and men were saying, I don't even read, but I want your book. That's nothing but the power of God. And when you got God on your side, man, you can't lose.
Yeah. So what made you decide to write the book?
Well, the first book that I wrote here is You Were Born to Fly. When you go to these places like John Maxwell, they say, well, every speaker needs a book. So I came back with the idea, and I didn't even share it with anybody, because what happened and when I went to the John Maxwell conference, it was like, man, my first author, it was amazing, right? When my first author, I was like starstruck, and I didn't even know not that he wasn't a nobody, but he was just, I just thought to myself, Lopez, how awesome would it be to have my own book? How amazing would it be? And I came back, started looking at what it costs to publish a book. I was like, $7,000, $10,000. And this was back 5 years ago. I'm like, man, like, and but I did it by faith. And You Were Born to Fly came out. We did our second book, Sticker Shock, Automotive Sales Training. We did that. And then our newest book, which just exploded, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind.
Yeah.
When I wrote this book, I was hesitant to write it because I knew there was going to be pushback in reference to talking about money, and people were going to think like, oh, Daniel's just greedy. But I stopped, and then my wife came to me one morning in 2021 around probably about November. She goes, God says, when are you going to finish your book? Because I started writing my book like 5 months prior.
Yeah.
And okay, so I didn't do it. And then like a month later, my wife came to me right before Christmas. God's not asking you. He's telling you need to finish your book. And I just committed to getting back in the book project. And now we sell about 3 books a day, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. The book became an online program with 27 powerful modules. When you go to our website, themakingsofamillionairemind.com, we've sold hundreds of these programs. And now the boot camp, we're about to have our second boot camp. And here in the month of May 26th, 27th, and it's just actually this weekend coming up.
So what's the boot camp about?
So it's really to help you develop the millionaire mind, right? Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to have the best business, but you got to, before you can think like a millionaire, right? Before you can become a millionaire, you got to think like a millionaire. And many people never really grow themselves, right? So the Millionaire Mind Bootcamp is going to really change your perspective as you go on this journey. I call it the journey of becoming. You become who you were actually born to be, and you change your relationship with money. You start valuing yourself more. You start being selfless. You start really growing your self-image, because the truth is this: you're never going to outgrow the limitations of your self-image. All limitations are self-improved, and you can never outgrow your self-image, right? Your life is never going to outgrow the self-image that I have of myself. If you have yourself, your audience watching, your life's never going to outgrow that. So at the Millionaire Mind, we change your relationship with money. We talk about finances. We talk about relationships. We talk about the spiritual aspect. We talked about your health, right? Because you don't want to be the richest man in the world and then you're dead and you're in the grave, because I've seen it. I've seen people just lose their health just to get money, and it's dumb.
Yeah, So is the boot camp an annual thing, or is going to be something that you keep doing?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, we're having our next one, like I said, this Friday and Saturday, May 26th, 27th. We already got our next one booked out for May 20 in 2023. It's going to be November 17th and 18th. and I'm excited. So we're doing it every 6 months. We do one in May, and then we're going to do another one in November. And then the same thing with our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We have one Speaking Academy in the fall, and then we have one in the spring. So it's amazing. But I can guarantee you this: when you come to the boot camp, you're going to leave with so much wisdom, so much impact, that you're not going to be the same. That you're going to be like, wow, what happened? Because people don't realize this. People have the wrong relationship with money, and they're not even aware of it, Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
It takes money, right? It takes money. Money is a resource. It takes resources to pay our light bill. It takes resources to pay for our car payment, our insurance. It takes resources to run a business. But then again, people they say these dumb sayings like, well, money isn't important. And they say it because that's their belief system.
Yeah.
Well, right, or no, well, money ain't important. All I need is love. Well, great.
Yeah, we need that too.
but this is the key: is you can't take love to the bank and pay your car that way.
No.
And that's the wrong way of thinking. When you can actually have both, you can have love and finances.
Yeah.
So many people, right? You either have a pain point with money, or you have a pleasure point with money. And most of us, we associate money and wealth as a problem with pain, because our mom and dad would argue, or you experience a bad situation where somebody burned. I know this guy. He's still angry, and this happened to him probably like 15 years ago. He got burned by his old business partner, and he still holds that resentment inside of him. And he just doesn't let go of it, and it's only hurting him.
Yeah, that stuff happens to everybody. That when you go into business, well, even if you go into business by yourself, something is going to happen. You just get jerked.
Yes.
That's a part of it, I think. I don't think there's no way around you. I think it's avoidable. You can't really avoid situations like that. Something is going to happen.
Yeah, because that's what's going to grow you as a human being.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the success, right? They want a successful life, a successful business, but they're not willing to go through the fortification stage. They don't want to be fortified. They don't want to be prepared. You have to go through that. Like I said earlier, in order to get through those barriers, you got to earn your way through those barriers. And most people don't want to earn their way. They want it as a gimme. And then the belief system that we have about money, there's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with having wealth and success, just as long as the wealth and success don't have you. If they have you, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that one of the best things that I have is just, I talk about it in our book, is when you're able to really be a blessing to the people around you. And when you have the wealth and the success to have the freedom of, maybe I'm going to take today off because I just need to do some stuff with my wife. And you're able to have that freedom to do what you really want to do, and have the resource to say, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Many people want to do this and that, but they don't realize that it takes money to finance projects. It takes money to pay for things as you get started, and it just breaks my heart when people just have the wrong belief system, and subconsciously they deflect the very customers they want because they have the belief system that money's not important. Subconsciously, they're pushing the very people that God's trying to send them as customers. They're pushing them away because they have that belief system that money's not important.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is partly the reason why most people quit, because they have people around them that'll say things negative, and they'll feed into that negativity, and most people will be like, oh, okay, and they'll say something like, well, my uncle tried it didn't work, my dad tried it didn't work. So most people will be like, oh, okay, it's probably not going to work for me either. And most people will just give in,
Yeah, or they don't even, you know what? It's even worse. They don't even try.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, like a great example is a gentleman named Lewis came to our last boot camp in November. He left. He was so pumped up. He came by probably about 3 months later, and he goes, Daniel, thank you for having the boot camp. It changed my life. He drove up in a new truck. He had some statements, right? His revenue grew almost at that moment 15%. He goes, Daniel, everything you taught me changed my life. And I said, that's what it's about, right? We're not put here on this earth to live below average, to be mediocre. Yeah. We're here for a reason. But if you've never been taught to dream big, to have a bigger vision for your life, a bigger vision for your bank account, that it's okay to have wealth, and that you're blessed to be a blessing. When people realize, right? You know why I want people to come to the Millionaire Mind, the boot camp so bad? Because I want people to win. I want people to prosper. I want you to be successful. I want you to succeed. Because when you succeed, I succeed. And it's not about selling a ticket to the boot camp. Who cares? For that, I could just, right? I mean, because it's it's really a lot of investment in time and effort when you have a live event. But it's just seeing the transformation, like when Lewis came by and, man, here's my truck. I never thought I'd have a nice truck like this. Like making people's dreams come true, because, right, this is what happens when you come to the boot camp. It unlocks your belief system, and a stretched imagination will never retract back to its original size.
Yeah, that's great, man. You creating a new environment for people to come in, because most people, they don't have cheerleaders back home. They don't have people pumping them up back home. They don't have people pouring into them back home. And unfortunately, man, a lot of people, if they want to move forward or become successful in life, they're going to have to leave some people behind. But some people aren't willing to do that. You know, it's unfortunate, but you're creating an environment where people can come in and people can pour into them. People can learn at the same time, and people can network with people, and that's a wonderful thing, you know, because most people don't have that back at home, wherever they came from, you know.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. Think about this. I was talking to this gentleman, and it's like, nothing wrong with free networking events, but usually the people that go to free networking events are, right, they can't afford the services that we provide, or it's not my I would say my avatar. But when you go to an event where someone pays, well, people pay, right? They pay, and guess what happens after that? Now they're paying attention. People that pay attention, and people that want things for free, man, that's not my clientele. It's like, I can't do that for you. And they're always takers, right? They're not, right? It's not reciprocated to where they're giving and you're giving, and it's, right, generosity is there. They just want to see what can I take for free. And then the other big mistake that a lot of these new entrepreneurs make is that, right, they think they're going to make a one-time investment of $6,000 or $5,000 or $1,000, whatever that dollar amount is, and then they think they're done forever. And you and I both know that maybe it's $6,000 a month, maybe if we're lucky, right? But because that's I've invested over $300,000 in myself, Lopez, to get to where I'm at. That's why we're generating the revenue, the money that we're making, because I've paid the price, the investment in myself, in my wife, right, to be alongside me, because she needs coaching too to get to that next level. And people this is what they say, I can't afford it. And the more you say you can't afford it, the more you're never going to afford it. And then to your point earlier, what you said, right, we use our family as excuses, our kids as excuses. Well, I hate my job, I'm miserable. I'm arguing with my wife all the time. There might even be domestic violence, but because you're so unhappy. I've seen it before, but yet they don't do the steps to leave their job, because they say, oh, well, I got my kids to think about. Well, you know what? When I started my business, I had just enrolled my son at Texas State University, had a $20,000, actually $25,000 nut that I had to pay each semester. And I didn't put him out of school. I could have pulled him out, but I didn't, because I trusted in God that even though we were a new business, I was a new speaker, God was going to make a way. But most people say, oh, I can't because my kids. No, that's just an excuse.
Yeah. If you want it bad enough, you would find a way.
Yes.
You would find a way. You know, there's people that I went to events over the past, 10, 15 years now. There's people that show up at some of these events with no money. They said, all I have is credit cards, but I'm here. You know, because they made a way. They found a way, you know. So I always say, if you want it bad enough, you will find a way. You will make a way, you know. Even if you have to come by yourself without your wife and kids, you will find a way, you know.
And you're right, and that's what I really instill in you, right? I want to say it's not just because so many people buy the program, so many people buy a ticket to an event, but then they never adopt the mindset. They never adopt the paradigm of that event holder, right? Of the event planner. in my case, spend time with me. Like it's one thing to get our course, it's one thing to come to our event, but this guy asked me, he goes, Daniel, well, what's different between having a conversation at a regular networking event and one that somebody pays for? I go, well, if you're around a multi-millionaire,
totally
conversations are totally different.
Yeah.
They're totally different. It's a different perspective. It's a different lens. And at first it's hard to see it because it's hard to explain it. But now it's like, right, in the Millionaire Mind, you don't talk about people, you talk about ideas.
Yeah.
In the Millionaire Mind, you don't make excuses. You say, well, how can I make it happen? And when you have that too, you really have an understanding that it takes, right? It takes an effort from you to act, right? To act. I call it personal action, because the idea comes and then we don't take that personal action. And then you have to personalize once you personalize the action, that's when the results start showing up. And then another thing that happens too is people, they start and stop all the time. And no, like we tell you, listen, you want to change your life, change the way you dress. You need to change the way you dress. You need to see yourself in a different light. You want to change your life, right? A millionaire ain't going to hang out over there. And nothing bad. How can I say this, right? I want to say this where I don't come across the wrong way. But if you're selling a product that has high ticket in it, that has value, you're not going to go find that clientele at Walmart. Why would you go there? You might go to a Neiman Marcus. You might go to a Nordstrom's. Does that make sense? Or if you want to associate with millionaires, go where millionaires hang out. They're not going to be at your local Chili's. Maybe they might be there, but no. Go to Perry's Steakhouse. Pay an extra $30 for the steak. You'll meet a higher level person there. Not better, but they just think at a higher level. That's your avatar, right? I know a lot of millionaires, they buy art. When's the last time you went to an art gallery and just kind of hung out over there?
Oh, yeah.
But people don't think that way.
No.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I always say it's hard to be mediocre if you're hanging around a bunch of millionaires. Two things are gonna have to happen. Either you're gonna level up, or you're gonna have to get away from them, because they're gonna call you out.
Yeah, but this is what happens is, right? It's a higher elevation of living, a higher frequency of living.
Yeah,
definitely a more powerful energy. And like I was sharing this with one of my mentees. I said, look, the average person, they'll go buy a Chevrolet, Honda, Ford, Nissan, right? Those cars at that dealership, they range anywhere from 10,000, the low end, to the high end, 100,000 max. We agree with that?
Yeah.
So when I went to go looking for my dream car, right? When I wanted to go look at that Lamborghini, that next level car for my wife, it's like we went to this dealership called Mark Motors here in San Antonio. The cheapest car there is 100,000. Big difference from the cheapest car being 100,000 to 10,000. The most expensive car there is $1 million. The reason I shared it with you is because it's a different energy, it's a different vibration. And the first time I went there, I didn't feel like I belonged. I was like, I felt like an imposter. I said, nah. But no, now I go there, right? I bought one of my cars there already. Then my wife was looking for another car, so we went and bought her sports car there. Now we go back there like we own the place, but it took me more than once or twice to go in there and to adapt to that higher energy, to that higher frequency.
Yeah, you were new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people sense that and like, oh, that's not for me. I don't know. No, like you have to transition to a higher vibration, a higher energy, a higher frequency, whatever word you want to use, and then it gets comfortable. It's never gonna feel right the first time.
No.
But people don't give themselves a chance, and right away they knock it as an excuse.
Yeah. So I know you meet people all the time. Yeah, they'd be like, hey, you know what? I got this business idea. Or maybe they have a business already. Maybe they're doing well. Or maybe they're on the way up. Maybe they have momentum. And they come to you and say, hey, I got this product. I got this service. How do I incorporate what you teach? How can I incorporate what you teach to my business? Where do you usually start with them?
Usually what we do is with every client that I work at, we do a business assessment, right? Either if you're looking to advance your career, we do a self-assessment. But if not, if it's a business owner and entrepreneur, we do a business assessment. And it's 12 powerful questions that we really go deep inside themselves. And most people don't know how to think for themselves, even business owners, right? We do this big training called Kill the Employee Mindset, because thousands of businesses start every year. Every year, if thousands of businesses start, within 5 years, most of them will be out of business. So it's really understanding, okay, well, how does this individual think? How are you thinking? Are you still thinking like an employee, or do you really think like a successful business owner? And over 90% of the time, they still think like an employee. And then they wonder why they're not making any revenue. They wonder why they're not making any money. So it's really assessing, right? We assess their finances. We assess their business. We assess their salesmanship. How can they sell, right? Because everybody, I don't care who you are, if you're in business for yourself, sooner or later, you're going to have to learn how to sell. You're going to have to learn how to offer your products. And most people, you'd be surprised how many people don't even know how to do that. And then your relationships, right? How's your health? So we cover all these things. And definitely a question that I ask them is, how's your relationship with money? Because if you have the wrong relationship with money, your business is never going to take off. It's never going to work, because as soon as you get some level of success, you're going to self-sabotage and you're going to lose it all.
Yeah. So who's your ideal prospect? Is it small businesses, big businesses, or both?
Well, I've been blessed to do both, because, right, I've grown up myself as a solopreneur entrepreneur. So I understand what it takes to get that business going. Like I said, I used to run multi-million-dollar dealerships. So we just help. So to answer your question to this point, right? My success stories are this. I just had a young private investigator. She was making $40,000 a year. And working with her, we got her to six figures within a year. Actually, less than a year. She was making $100,000. That's a solopreneur. Second success story, we had a small business. They were losing $1 million in the red a year. We took them from $1 million in the red to making $1 million in the black, $2 million swing within a year and 3 months. And then our huge success story is we had one of our major clients, multi-million-dollar corporation. They made $19 million in 2021. They made over $40 million in 2022. And it's all about raising the lid, right? I don't care who you are. If there's a problem in the business and you're a small business or an entrepreneur, more than likely you're the problem. That's why the lid's there, because you're the lid.
Yeah.
And most people are not aware of this. So a lot of what I coach people on is I shift their paradigms. I open their perspective to new ways of seeing things, and really help them grow their self-image. Because when people have a poor self-image, they have a poverty consciousness. I don't care how much skill set you got, because this is the truth. Your self-image will trump over how much knowledge and skill you have. Did you hear that right?
Oh yeah.
Your self-image will trump over the knowledge and the skill you have, because we go to these conferences, like you just said, everybody learns the same stuff. Why do some go home and do a little bit with it when some go home and do nothing with it? And then you got the one or two that go home and they tear it up because of what they learned at the same conference. All three categories went to, but they accelerate because they have the right self-image of themselves.
Yeah. Mindset, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, So if people wanted to work with you, where would they go to?
Man, you can call me at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954, or send me an email at info@danielgomezglobal.com. That's info@danielgomezglobal.com. And that's our website, danielgomezglobal.com. We have a free entrepreneur's assessment there that you can fill out. We love to help you and guide you and definitely take you and your life to the next level. And anybody listening to this amazing show here with my brother Lopez, will give you a complimentary 45-minute discovery session to maybe see if we can help you unlock one or two things that's keeping you stuck right now.
There you have it. Like, share this episode. All links will be found in the show notes. Until next time, we're out. Peace.
Fall is all about cozy comforts, but when you're prioritizing your health, it's easy to feel like you're missing out. With Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your fall favorites because they're made with Hero Bread sliced bread loaves, tortillas, bagels, dinner rolls, and more. Try their all-new Hero Noodles with 12 grams of protein and just 80 calories. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. They've even got small batch drops of indulgent favorites like the popular Hero Croissant. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's FALL25 at hero.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.